All right, everyone, greetings and welcome to another CVMSDC Virtual Capabilities Briefing. Our special guest today is Constance Brosa of Content Spectrum. I'm your event producer, Taya Bolton, with the PR Pros team. We have an informative session planned for you today, and we can't wait to get started. Before we do get started, I'd like to cover a bit of housekeeping with you. All of our audience participant lines are muted. However, you can submit a question using the question box feature in the GoToWebinar dashboard on your screen. Also, today's session is being recorded and will be available for you to review and share with your colleagues post-event. You can view the recording for the CVMSDC website at cvmsdc.org/webinars. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our CVMSDC President and CEO, Dominique Milton, to open up today's session.
Thank you so much, Taya. I'm really excited to be here today with Constance Brosa. I want to thank our guests for joining us for this virtual capability briefing. This is a session that we put together so that our MBEs have an opportunity to pitch their businesses to our corporate clients. These videos will live on their websites, on our websites, and we can use them to send to our corporate clients. So without further ado, I want to share with you a little bit about Constance. Thanks for joining us today, Constance.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So Constance Brosa is an entrepreneur based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her branding and marketing agency, Content Spectrum LLC, helps B2B and B2C companies of all sizes effectively share their brand stories with customers. Content Spectrum's clients include firms in the entertainment, manufacturing, and real estate sectors. Constance is a graduate of the University of Georgia's Henry Grady School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Her current professional affiliations include serving on the executive boards of the Charlotte chapter of the American Marketing Association and the American Copy Editors Society. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, Constance, is I'm going to turn it over to you so you can show your slides. I'm going to come off the screen and I will still be here, but I'll come back at the end for our Q&A session. All right?
All right.
Take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for spending a few moments of your day with me. I know many of us, myself included, have participated in lots of virtual sessions during the last few months. I'm willing to bet, in fact, that some of you have already been a part of a Zoom event or some other webinar earlier today. With that in mind, I've kept the number of slides in this presentation to a minimum. So let's get started. Next slide, please. One of the key components of brand storytelling is consistency. So when working with companies, our strategy includes ensuring that their messaging, whether it's conveyed on a website, in a collateral piece, a publication, an email campaign, or a social media post, or even a video like this one, remains on brand. I am excited to shed light on the importance of cultivating a brand story for your business. Storytelling is now among the most popular marketing methods in the industry. Your story can be used to inform consumers about your brand, transfer brand value, and cultivate customer trust in your brand. Next slide, please. So what's my brand story? You heard a little bit about that earlier, but I've been telling other people's stories for many, many years. My roots as a storyteller actually extend to my early days as a journalist in print media, but I was fortunate to start shifting my attention to companies and nonprofits starting in the 90s. Back then, I was promoting companies and nonprofits largely in print. But by the mid-2000s, I began serving clients almost exclusively on digital platforms. And in 2015, I gave my company a new name, Content Spectrum, that reflects the scope of services that it provides. Next slide, please. Now, let's get into the story behind storytelling. There's a growing body of research pointing to the fact that storytelling is literally encoded in our DNA. That's right, encoded in our DNA. Cavemen did it, Tribes and nations have done it for centuries, and they continue to do so. All of them built their cultures and their communities through storytelling. Well, business owners like you can build up your culture and your customer base by crafting compelling stories that create a deeper understanding of and a greater affinity for your company. Next slide, please. Studies have shown that a well-crafted story can increase the levels of oxytocin, otherwise known as the feel-good hormone, that is in everyone's brain. As oxytocin levels rise, so do empathy and cooperation. What that means is that a story, especially one that's full of emotion, can inspire people to perform an action. And of course, what the action that business owners want people to perform is that of spending money. One of the very best examples of how a story can influence people to spend money is the crowdfunding platform known as GoFundMe. During the pandemic, thousands of small businesses have turned to GoFundMe in search of donations from many people, most of whom are strangers, to help them stay open. One such example is a little bitty bookstore in San Francisco called City Lights Books. The store's campaign on GoFundMe included a 900-word story written by the CEO that detailed the company's financial struggles. The campaign's goal was to raise $300,000. The final result, 13,300 donors contributed almost $500,000 to the bookstore's campaign. Now, I'm not saying that we should all go out and launch GoFundMe campaigns, although some of you might have done that. My point is that a strong brand story, no matter how you tell it and where you tell it, can be highly beneficial to your bottom line. Next slide, please. Now, here are some key points to keep in mind about brand storytelling. The very first rule of storytelling of any kind is to be yourself. So when it comes to how you communicate, would you say that you're straightforward, that you're breezy, offbeat, maybe even off color? Well, no matter what your style is, ensure that it's consistent and that it's true. Remember, you and only you are the guardian of your voice. As the musician David Grohl said, no one is you, and that is your biggest power. Next slide, please. Rule number 2, tell your story with confidence. Motivational speaker Les Brown said it best, know your gifts and share them. For so many people, the prospect of focusing on themselves or even their company is just plain uncomfortable. But to elevate and sustain your brand, you must push past the directive, often instilled in all of us in childhood, to be humble. And instead, you must engage in confident storytelling that highlights your expertise and your company's distinctions. Next slide, please. Rule number 3 is about owning your story's conflict. The last thing many entrepreneurs want to do is to delve into conflicts or hardships that they've endured. They hide these periods of disruptions while spinning upbeat narratives that are at best incomplete and at worst false, because they're convinced that customers relate best to companies with unblemished histories. However, the truth is that people relate to tales of struggles, even those that companies experience. How could they not? After all, adversity is not only unavoidable, but universal. Next slide, please. Rule number 4, once you own your story's conflict, you must detail the resolution. These days, companies of all sizes are in the midst of what for many is their greatest period of difficulty. The COVID-19 pandemic has created an economic challenge that some companies have been able to overcome and others are still trying to deal with. What's emerging among all brands, especially small ones that are still operating, is an awareness of the importance of sharing how they're holding up during this crisis. By leveraging that aspect of your stories, these companies have an opportunity to generate affinity and brand awareness that could sustain them. Next slide, please. So now that you know how important brand storytelling is for your business, I'll bet you want to know how effective this type of marketing is. Well, a 2016 study in Harvard Business Review magazine helped to quantify the value of brand storytelling. The magazine's study of a major retailer that created an emotional connection with its audience revealed that customers visited that retailer's stores more often, showed less sensitivity to price, and recommended that brand more than other companies. The retailer saw a 15% increase in the number of active customers and a 50% increase in same-store sales, just from these telling effective stories. To put it simply, an emotional connection with customers boosted this company's bottom line. Next slide, please. Figuring out the effectiveness of brand storytelling on your business comes down to minding your metrics. So let's say for 5 days that you switch to social media posts that reveal the personality behind your company, posts that profile your employees, or videos of you chatting about someone who inspired you as an entrepreneur, or photos of you promoting a charity or a community initiative that you or your company support. On Instagram, for instance, you can use its insights tools to compare the reach, the profile visits, and the website clicks of your brand storytelling posts to previous ones with a less personal approach. If you have a Google business page, you can track customer actions, phone calls, and photo views, and compare the difference between brand storytelling posts and less engaging posts. In general, you can get the same type of data about your company's website from your website host. Then there's something called HubSpot Social Inbox, which is a tool that can help you determine how many leads and customers you're receiving directly from social media. And with Google Analytics, you can do a deep dive into your website metrics and activity. You can make the same types of comparisons of storytelling and non-storytelling email campaigns. Tools like MailChimp can tell you exactly who clicked on an email you sent, how many times they read it, and much more. These are just a few of the tools you can use to figure out your return on investment from brand storytelling. Next slide, please. Listen, your brand story doesn't have to be long and it does not have to be complex. You can say a lot about your company in just over 1 minute, just like I did in this shameless plug for Content Spectrum that lasts a mere 75 seconds. Take a look.
I'm not seeing anything, Taya.
Yeah, I'm not either.
We're playing it from the app now. 1 second.
All right, hang on, everybody. It's coming. All right, next slide, Taya. We all know that it's hard out here for companies, especially small ones. As recently as 2018, 30 million small businesses were trying to maintain profitability, sustainability, and visibility. Even though each one of us is pursuing those same three goals, each one of us also possesses something unique, our brand story. So if constructed correctly, that story can help any company establish a brand that's not only memorable, but enduring. Thank you so much for your attention today. I'm available to expand on any of the information I shared with you in this presentation and to help you nurture your one-of-a-kind brand narrative. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Constance. That was excellent. I really loved how you set that up, and it was clear now, it's clear to our viewers why they should hire a firm like yours, because as we're thinking about marketing and branding, we're not thinking about the psychology behind all of that, right? And the stories we need to be telling. So that was very rich. Thank you for that. Tell us about your pivot during this time. How has your business pivoted?
Oh, well, I actually had a harder time in terms of pivoting during the Great Recession than I've had at this point. During the Great Recession, a lot of my business was with real estate companies, and one in particular was the main organization that certifies and teaches realtors. I lost a huge contract with that company. So that was about the time, in addition to the loss of that business and a lot of publications, that was about the time that I started to pivot and make myself available to companies who were going online, especially publications that were no longer able to produce print publications, print periodicals. So I just had to I had to go to the internet like a lot of people are doing now for the first time. I did that for the first time in 2008. And that's what helped me then. And that's what's helping me now. But it was a struggle. It was definitely a struggle.
So you were already poised with online content and strategy. So that's excellent. Talk to us. Now, I know the backstory. I'm not going to name clients, but I know that you support one of the largest MBEs in the NMSDC network. That's your client. And so that's one side, right? So you've got this large MBE. A lot of our MBEs miss those opportunities, but there's so much MBE to MBE opportunity out there. But talk to me about, all of us, about the ideal client for Content Spectrum.
The ideal client is not about size. It's about a client that is looking for guidance and for work in terms of ensuring that his or her company has a story that is cohesive and that is also whose message is clear, no matter what form, whether we're talking about images, whether we're talking about text, no matter the platform, whether Facebook, whether we're talking about a website. I need to work with and like to work with companies who want to ensure that all of their messaging is intact.
Okay. All right, good. So talk to me about the steps you take. So now I'm this large corporation and I've decided I need to market a new product that I have, right? What steps will you take if I call you in? Talk to me about your process.
Well, the very first thing we're going to do is have that meeting, whether it's in person, and nowadays, of course, that's mostly not happening. So if we're doing that virtually, I'm going to get the client to tell me what he or she or they are looking for. I'll then do an assessment. I'll listen to what they tell me. Then I'll go and look at all the components of their brand story and tell them what needs to be addressed and how we'll do it. That's going to differ depending on the client and the client's clients as well. So it's going to be unique to that particular company. But the first thing is discovery, and then the second thing is research on our part, and then we draft a plan that is unique to that company because, of course, we're talking a unique company with a unique story, and we've got to address it and not create something that's cookie cutter.
Right, and that's the key. Like when we're dealing with companies of your size, it's not cookie cutter, right? So you're coming in, you're having that personal touch, and you're really understanding what their needs are. So talk to me about, I want to reach the Spanish population, or I want to reach a different population than general with English. What would you do for me? And can you accommodate a large corporation wanting to have several different languages in their marketing campaign?
Well, currently, right now, we do have a Spanish translator who works with us. She is, in fact, is certified by the state of North Carolina. So she has the credentials. She's worked with us on other projects, and she can help us with clients who are of Spanish-speaking nature and who have Spanish-speaking customers.
Okay, great. Can you tell me a success story? Can you share with us a success story?
There are several, actually. One of the most recent, as I said earlier, or maybe you said this, one sector of clients we work with are those in the entertainment industry. So we have a client whose company is called the Soap Bubble Circus, believe it or not. They do these large scale presentations and performances that involve bubbles. And that includes putting X number of people into giant bubbles, and they set World Guinness records for doing this kind of stuff. So during the pandemic, of course, the owner of this company could no longer do these performances because they usually drew audiences of hundreds, if not thousands. So he and I worked together and we came up with a plan for him to do pandemic-friendly performances. For example, he would do parades in neighborhoods or down streets or in communities. He and his team, people could watch from their windows, but they could put on this grand display of bubbles and watch that way. And then when he pivoted that way, we helped him again to update the website so people knew what was going on, people knew what he could offer. We created flyers, we created social media posts for him to talk about his pandemic-friendly pivot for his business.
Excellent. So he's seen growth in his business now that he's pivoted?
He pretty much was out of business around May, but now I can hardly get him on the phone. He's doing well.
Well, kudos to you. What a great story. Now, you said size doesn't matter in terms of the corporations that you serve. What about geographic range? Now that we're all virtual, I guess that doesn't matter either, right?
No, we've been working, especially with one of the large MBE you mentioned. That MBE has clients all over the country, and we work with them through that large MBE. So yeah, we can do it. In fact, that client's reach is from Canada to Puerto Rico, and we support them with those clients.
Okay, so talk to me about scalability, right? So I'm a large corporation. I want to hire you to solve a marketing problem that I have. Now we know you can cover the whole US. We have bilingual services. Scalability, if I needed to deploy people to different locations, you have the ability to go scale up and scale down?
Absolutely. No problem at all. We've been doing that for a long time.
Okay, perfect. Great. All right. Are there any other questions from the audience, Taya?
All right, we do have one. Constance, you gave some really great resources earlier on tools to assess metrics. Are there other tools that you might recommend that would help someone to be able to tell their story? Is there certain apps that you might recommend to collect videos or embellish pictures before they get to you?
Oh my goodness, yeah. My phone and my iPad are chock full of apps. There are definitely a lot of photo apps. One that I'm using right now for my company posts is an app called Pixaloop. You can add to still pictures, you can add motion. So that'll help. I have noticed a difference. If I just post something that has words and colors, that's fine, but I've noticed a tremendous difference when I use Pixaloop to add any kind of movement to what is basically a still image with words. So that is definitely a tool. There are tools like that. There are plenty of those. A lot of people in terms of social media use Canva, which helps them. That you've already got the templates that will fit most social media platforms. And also the Adobe Acrobat, the Adobe suite of products has a similar app to Canva. So there are ways out there to embellish anything. It's just a matter of how comfortable you are with it. If you're not comfortable with using those, we can use those and help you embellish your brand.
Excellent. Excellent question. Any others, Taya?
The last one is just how would you recommend that someone who wants to use your services kind of organize what it is that they feel would be important to tell that story as part of your consultation? Maybe you could share the consultative process.
Well, again, it is going to largely entail a conversation, and mostly on the part of the prospective client, not on me. I'm going to listen. And once I listen, I always ask, what's the problem? What do you think the problem is? Because I can go look at something and say, I know what needs to be addressed. But sometimes people will raise an issue that I don't necessarily see. So I need to get us on the same page. So I always start with what you think the problem is, or where do you want to go that you haven't been able to go. What results are you looking for? Who's your clientele? Things of that nature. So it's going to involve a lot of listening first on my part, and then questions, and then discovery. Then I go look and I see what needs to be done and begin to form a plan to address that.
Excellent. Excellent. So finish this sentence. I am BMW. I'm Dominion Energy. I should call Constance when?
Yesterday.
But what need? I'm sitting there around the boardroom table, and XYZ comes up. When should I call you? When should we pick up the phone to call Constance?
Oh, well, I have normal business hours, but and normal for me is roughly 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. But like most people, I am available, perhaps way too much these days, but I'm here. So
okay. So what problem would they be calling you to solve, Constance? I just want you to put that in a sentence.
They'd be calling me to get their story in order, to make it cohesive, to make it compelling, and to take that new story and then turn it into greater sales, greater visibility, and greater sustainability in terms of their business.
Perfect. Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We will make this video available for you, and we'll make it available to all of our customers, as I said up front. If anyone listening is interested in participating in a VCB, please reach out to us at info@cvmsdc.org. I encourage each of our listeners to visit our calendar on a regular basis, because we have events like this popping up. We have 3 different webinar series. We have a straight talk series where you can learn how to do business with the companies that you want to do business with and how to do that business. We have our Lunch and Learn, where we introduce you to our new corporate clients, and then we have this VCB series. So I am excited to be able to offer you continuous content as we pivot through this time. We have our end of year event coming up. It is a combination of our Business Opportunity Conference and our MBE Summit. It will be held December 2nd and 3rd. Obviously, it will be virtual, and that will open up very soon. We've reduced prices significantly to make it easy for everyone to be able to attend, and the content is going to be fantastic. Developmental content, we're going to have matchmaking opportunities with our corporate partners, we're going to have an awards ceremony, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So again, please visit our calendar on a regular basis, and please follow us on social media. We love to have more friends each and every day. We like to grow our friend base on social media. So Constance, thank you for joining us today. It's been an excellent session. Taya, thank you for getting us through this and moderating with us. And that's a wrap, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you.